Here's how it goes right now. So that you know, they didn't rename Twitter. They what I call unveiled a sigil. They didn't rebrand the tech company, if you know what I'm talking about. They invoked a god. Yeah, it's serious as this sound. Twitter changing their name invoked a god. And now I ask you this question: what kind of man aligns himself with the X? Now we'll get into that in another show, but the answer isn't Elon Musk. It isn't Osiris, or it is Osiris. If you go back and look at ancient history, it's Apollo. It's also Lucifer. Yeah, you heard me say it. And so this isn't branding. This is a summoning. When you start thinking about how Twitter has rebranded itself to X, and it all goes back down to the reptilian agenda. So we will get started with that and let everyone know where we are right after this little message as we get to kicking the doors down on what I call the X, baby. Let's get it. So anyway, welcome to Truth versus Authority. I'm Roderick Martin. If you didn't know me, I'm AKA the Symbolizer, and you can find me on most all your TV shows. If you want to go to HBO, Showtime, Discovery Channel, I was featured on Ancient Aliens, the History Channel, you name it, especially when it came down to the UFOs. But now I am chasing what I call the reptilian agenda. So if you into reptilian things and all things that cover reptilians, which comes down to shapeshifters, our politicians, and we're talking about celebrities, mind control, MK Ultra, all of this ties into the reptilian agenda. Then this is the channel for you. So I want you to hit the subscribe button, hit those alerts so that you don't miss any videos that I upload or when we go live, when we get down to where we're going. Now, real quickly, just let you know, this is a show. We're going to probably get it going here for about an hour. And then after that, we're going to work over to our private extended show area, which is in our Patreon. It is live. It's access only to the members. And we're going to go to the uncensored part of this show so that we can say things that we can't say here. And if you have not, this is how you can get access to that area. We will go right after this show, right into the private uncensored area. Because there's a lot of things we want to say we can't say here, especially some of those words and everything else. And real quick, let me give you the disclaimer. You already know how I roll. We have two virtual boxes, one over to the right, one over to the left, you name it. One is our virtual grammar box. So if you hear me make any mistakes, any grammarly, anything that I may say that don't sound proper to you, then feel free to fill in all of the blanks for yourself. And if y'all misspell anything on the screen, go into the virtual letter box and get all the letters you want to correct it, because I am here just to give you the word on the street. And the word on the street is our new word for conspiracy theory. So let you know that if you're first timer here. So I've studied this for years, okay, when it comes down to this. And the deeper I go, the clearer it becomes. The letter X is not random. Now, I keep using this symbol because this is going to be our next show, not this week, but next week, because all of y'all know what this means. Some of you know. It's an X. And so when you hear what we're going to be talking about today, then that should give you some foreshadowing when we go down that route. It is spelled, with one letter, the X, but it's a spell. That's really what I meant to say. It is a seal. It's a signal when you see this. And when Elon Musk wiped out Twitter and he resurrected to what I call X, then that should have told you right there where things was going. And we already have SpaceX. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he wasn't making a product move that most people thought. He was fulfilling what I consider an ancient ritual and rite. And I'm going to cover all that tonight. So stay with me as we can do this. Now, when it comes down to this, you want to know who's really in control. Where are we going with this, Roderick? And how we are going to tie it into reptilian things. So most people could be looking for him to shapeshift, but all reptilian agenda people don't shapeshift. They are connected, but we will tie in the dots for you before this show is over tonight. So make no doubt about it. But go back to what I call the priesthood of the sun god. Yes, the sun god. And go back to those who have how they tied it into Saturn, Osiris, and Ra. And you want to go back to the ancient times of this. Now, I'm going to sit something to the side here for you to really think about. If you go back, look at our current administration, the person who's in charge right now, and you go back and you look at a video that, if I can find it, that they did a tour of his mansion up there in Trump Tower. And if you looked at all the gold things in Apollo or all the stuff that he was worshiping or had around, all this is going to tie in together what you see today and what is really going on. That I'm going to send you on a chase for yourself, because you're truth seekers and you need to do that. Now, they wear different masks when it comes down to the sun god. It's Masonic. You can look at corporate, you can look at technocratic. It's all of this, but the bloodline stays reptilian. I just want you to know that. The bloodline, and you heard me say, bloodline stays reptilian. Now, you might say, well, Roderick, why does this matter? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this cult that I'm saying uses tech the same way the pharaohs used temples, and to command the masses into a silent, and through control of all these devices is how they control the masses. And now X marks the digital temple. Make no mistake about it. X marks the digital temple. And I'm going to give you enough evidence as we go further within the show of all the connections of X itself to all of the ancient, so that you know how it derived in today. So we're going to connect those dots for you. Now, we can talk about the X, or the symbol of X. Let me get into it. First of all, in Freemasonry, Rosicrucian, if you ever heard of that, the mystery schools, the X, it marks everything. It marks Osiris, which is the god of sun, which is resurrection, which is transformation. Now, keep the word transformation in your mind tonight, because that is where we're going to tie in some of the dots too. Now, I'm going to bring them both together for you. Lucifer. Let me say that again. Lucifer, the light bearer, the encoded, he's encoded through solar symbols. If you want to go back and start checking those things, and as you would know, Lucifer ties all the way back to the serpent. Okay, so this is how this stuff goes. And sometimes people start at certain areas and they just continue down the other part. Ambanon, if you ever heard of that, in Revelations 9:11, the destroyer, it's the same name that invoked in the 17th degree of Masonic rituals, which X is central. So go check that out for yourself. And here's the part that I think that kind of shocked me the most is in these rituals of the night of the East and West, X is worn. If you go back to a lot of that, it's worn, it's crossed as a black and white cords, the same cord Elon Musk uses in SpaceX and the XAI branding. So I want you to go check that out for yourself. And I'm going to repeat that once again. What really shocked me is when I got to that point of the rituals of the night of the East and West, the X is shown, it's crossed as a black and white cords. Okay, so go look that up yourself. I will put it on the screen for you, but that changes everything, right? So I want you to go find out for yourself. But when you see those same cords, Elon uses those in SpaceX and also the XDAI branding, and it represents. Now, here's what it represents: duality, spiritual transformation, and warfare. Now, make no mistake about it. Why would he sit here and brand everything? And when we think of the word of trans, and then you want to add the word of humans together, then when you start thinking about those things, all of these things are positioning for this when it comes down to it. So look that up as well. So I will continue down that path for you. Now, we could ask ourselves, well, what are they hiding? Why would they do such a thing? Well, it makes a lot of sense, what they will be hiding and why they would do it. So I'm glad you asked. X is the sigil of Saturn, if you want to go look that up, which is a symbol of control, time, and harvest. And in an ancient systems, X was the emblem of the sun deity. So if you want to start thinking about all of the sun god, the worshiping and everything else. And I want you to begin to connect some of these dots, and why are we seeing these things today? Why are this is so important when we enter the age of Aquarius? And it just that you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. This stuff is planned and it is working according to the new world order. So we want to pay attention to those things. And it's no coincidence that Twitter was unalive and then reborn. Okay. And the mark of X is the pattern of the dying and the rising God, the transformation, the resurrection. That is why he did that. Make no mistake about it. And you might say, oh, wow, that was just some cool branding. People, that is not what's happening before our eyes, right in plain sight when we are looking at these things. And it's no coincidence that he is now in the position of where he is and stirring up all the stirring that he has, and also at the point of access to everything when it comes down to that. And it's just important of that. Osiris, Tammuz, Mithra, Jesus, and now Musk has his machine. It's like a movement of the things that people worship, and now he's moving into that. And again, you want to pay a close attention to what I'm talking about here. Another part of this gets a little deeper. So we're going to dig in a little deeper, and I'm going to fly through all of this tonight because once again, we're going to go unhinged on some of the things I can't say live in our uncensored area, the LUMINIS lounge, which we will go tentatively at 8:00, right after this. But however, when I finish this, those who already got access and the link, y'all hop right on over there, and then we're going to go uncensored. So just be prepared. So if you hear me say, I'll talk about that uncensored, then you'll know what I'm alluding to as we go. So every culture with the serpent sun worship, reptilian, also worships reptilian gods. And through solar rites, Mitra, Horus, and Baal, the transformation always involved a sacrifice and a new identity. You've seen this in the Illuminati stuff. You've seen the celebrities talk about it constantly when it comes down to it. Let me set the motion up from here. This is our triangle that we talk about on this reptilian show here. I want you to look at it real closely if you hadn't, but I'll zoom in on a couple of areas. This is how it all works. At the top of this, we have our deities, our overlords, demonic things, our reptilians, things that we do not see, that is not human, that is controlling the next level, which comes down to the Masonic, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the overlords, the rulers, the bankers, the media, all of this stuff. And then, well, not the media, they are a little more billionaires and other people that we can't even know, the names we don't know. And then it filters down to these people who they use to control the masses, to set the tone, to set things that they want. And keep in mind, the monarch butterfly, the checkerboards, and all those things are prevalent in where we are talking about tonight. All right, so we want to go and say that Elon is not the ruler himself. You know that, right? Anybody we see with our physical eyes, except for one person, who is what I call the alpha reptilian, and I'll say that in our private area, and I did it last week, and I will not mention it out loud. There's only one person who is the alpha reptilian that walks in plain sight on this earth and breathes the air that we breathe right in front of everyone. That person is the alpha, okay? And then you have people over them that is not from this world. Elon is a messenger, I think, or he could be what I call the mouthpiece. He's the setup to get people to accept the whole thing when things come out. I think he's either consider himself a priest or he's a puppet, period. But he had positioned himself right before everyone to control things that he wants to control. Now, and let me kind of get to you like this. He launched satellite systems like stars throughout SpaceX, and again, company name SpaceX, and it's, you know, he has them everywhere. So start putting this stuff together for yourself. He's creating Neuralink. I think that's going to access to rewrite consciousness. Why not? That's how, you know, Neuralink, and you already see these little devices being surfaced around the social media. People putting them on their head, and you know, like it's a game. It's a test. It is a serious test of, does these things are going to work? Are they going to work? And obviously, if people are seeing famous people and other people using this stuff, you're going to think it's okay. And at this point, he controls a platform known Digital Town Square. And then one night, without warning, X appears. And X controls billions of people's right through their phone, right what you can see, control exactly what they want you to see. And we think there's nothing to see there, folks. People, by the time we finish this show, you should get a head start on what I'm talking about, okay? And share this video, for course, and make sure you hit the like button and all of those things as we continue to go down this path. Now, here's where most people go wrong, because I have conversations all the time. They think X is just branding. Oh, it's just a cool branding. If you have watched any of these shows by now, we go into all of the hidden symbols that we see out there in corporate, hidden in plain sight. Starbucks, all of these people got mythical and mind control symbols all over their branding, or access to ancient gods and myths and things that they use to harness the power. We talk about that here. In fact, as you know, my branding and trademark, the symbolizer. So I go in there deep, and hopefully you will get information as I continue to go further. But when you talk about a Kabbalistic tradition, X, transformation through suffering, let that sink in. When you go back to tradition, Kabbalistic tradition, X has a meaning of transformation through suffering. Already, people are suffering based on what he is already doing. Right now, people are suffering. X means transformation through suffering. And if you don't think that is not coming together, you can put it in the chat and say, Roderick, you are dead ass wrong. You can do that. But do I think that out of what I'm sharing with you and all that stuff, do you think I think I'm wrong?
Hell no.
I'm not. Because you have to connect your dots. You got to connect your dots, because I always tell you, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. And stick around. I'm going to tie those dots up for you as we continue here, because I'm speeding through this, because we have a private session right after this. And if you want access to it, there's a link in the description. You can go ahead and get it and join us in our private area, because we can't talk about everything online. This is too much censorship, period. It's just too much. But if you go back to Masonic rituals, it prepares you to wage war on truth while thinking you're being enlightened, okay? This is the whole point. So X is transformation through suffering. Go back to Masonic rituals. It prepares you to wage war on truth while suffering. And most people think they're being enlightened, or I use the word woke, okay? If that get anybody's attention, it should. Musk isn't just coding software, people. He's not just some tech guru. He's activating a spiritual framework. Hear me out. One that goes all the way back to Babylon. Everything goes back, okay? All the way back to Babylon. So if you think he just known because he is a tech-savvy person, right. There's always the mind control platform or connection. And if I give you that section of what we're going to be talking about, it goes right about here. So just take a look at where I'm talking about. The mind control is right about here. So this is where it is. If you start thinking about it, the X starts at the top as a solar invocation, because everything goes back to solar worshiping the sun god, Lucifer, the light bearer, Satan, serpents, reptilians. Just know this. Okay. Some people stop at Satan and they stop right there because as far as you can know, what you think you can see or feel or know, but it keeps going. It passed down to the technocratic, and this becomes the vessel, because through this, they don't have to do it the old way anymore. They don't have to do drug experiments out in the real world that the CIA and all these people was known to do. They don't have to do that anymore. It's right here. They can experiment anything. Then it's broadcast through every phone, every post, every algorithm. And the target isn't Musk. It's you. It's me. We're the target. Because if you can control the mind, you can control anything. And I can't tell you how many people who in this world that some of you are in relationships with, some of us know, that I tell you all the time of what I call cognitive dissonance. It is a problem, especially within our communities of relationship with people. And I'm not just talking about me as a African-American person. I'm saying communities of the middle class and lower class people. Cognitive dissonance is a major concern. And what that is, real quickly, is just like now, some of you are listening to what I say, and all your life and time, you think whatever Musk is, he is a hero. And now whatever I'm telling you, you cannot connect with. So all the things that you thought was untrue, and now you're starting to hear it is true. Either you can then convert over to believe, or you would never believe. And it's the same thing with somebody thinks something has been true all their life and they hear enough information to know it's not true. They cannot. And you hear that all the time with being in relationships and friends and families, when you're trying to convince them that you woke and here's what they need to be woke. And now they just can't function. It doesn't work. And I will give you a word for that. Stop trying to save people. You will spend too much energy trying to save people, because at the end of the day, it is energy. Vibration is the food of those people at the top of this thing. And if they can create it all the time, another show, or go look at some of my old shows. When you start thinking about it, like I said, who the target, and then repeated exposure to the symbol rewires the perception when it comes down to it. Now, that doesn't mean that there's people who have X and they may have it for good measures, because remember, you are tapping into symbols and sigil, magic, energy, spells, all of these things. So there is something there. But once again, it trains the subconscious mind to accept transformation without consent. See, this is the part where I think people who, especially people that are woke, and I'm saying this because that's the community. A lot of people that are woke walk around feeling at times that they're invincible to what is happening. And they never think about the fact that all these things, when you're talking about symbols and ritual symbols, word magic, and all these things, it bypasses the visual cortex of the brain and enters into the subconscious, and it don't need permission. You can't block that. It's like a dog whistle that you can't hear, but it's there. And it's on a level and vibration. Maybe the mouse, maybe the dog who has a better sense of hearing and smell, senses, all those can hear it. But on a human level, but your subconscious mind is wide open, and it can hear, feel, think, all of these things, or it's processing, and you have no clue that the system is being embedded, the plan, the operation, and now all they got to do is send the signal for go, and who knows when that is. So every X that you scroll past, especially on Twitter, every time you see x.com, you're unknowingly participating in what I call the sun god ritual repackaged as innovation. You can quote that. right now. You can quote it. You can walk away and say, this Roderick, he's just crazy. This reptilian dude, he's studying a reptilian agenda. He's crazy or whatever. Or if you with me, you're going to share the post, put some likes, some comments after the thing, because we're not just making this stuff up. We're not making it up. And in a few moments, I'm going to go over a bunch of little pictures. Hopefully you can see them all. And it's going to tie back to everything before we get out of here. Okay. One thing is, I want you to understand the symbol X isn't just a design. It is an occult tradition, and it represents Osiris. Go look it up. The god of the underworld and rebirth. Go look it up, and I'll show you in a minute anyway, but make sure you go do that. When Musk placed it at the top of Twitter, it became a beacon and a magical gateway, plain and simple. But here is why it matters to you. See, every time you interact with it, your subconscious is trained to accept the destruction as innovation. But we seeing what he's doing, or what the X is doing in the personal note, especially people. Just go ask people who work for our federal system. They can't even figure out what is going on. But it's everything that I've talked about, the vibration of what it is. And your silence that we have becomes the spiritual consent. I don't know how you rage a change on that, because you can't get a change, and the tools become so necessary, you can't block it out. I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. All I know is it's time to make sure you keep your vibration high. You keep you wear your tools and your malas and different things. You in your meditation and your breathing exercise, keep your vibration very high at all times. I ain't saying high as in weed either. Okay, I didn't say that. I said keep the vibration high. Now, as we go with this, and if you don't think X means something, every last one of you probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, went through a process where you said, cross my heart and I hope to die. And it goes all the way back to Osiris, resurrection, death, and transformation. How many of you said that? Put it in the chat. How many of you said that as a kid, somewhere, or known or heard it? Cross my heart and I hope to die. Where did that come from? Did you think they just made that up, or that came out the street? Do you think that somebody said that's a good thing to say? Or was it some meaning and acceptance and things that we were saying as kids and didn't even know it? Didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. So if you're in the chat, we have people watching us on, I think, Instagram right now. We have people watching us on YouTube. So if you're in the chat and you understand and concur with what I'm saying, let me know. Cross my heart and hope to die. You remember that? And those are the things that is it. So that children's rhyme wasn't innocent. That's all I'm trying to say. Cross my heart and hope to die was a subconscious pact, a blood oath, an offering. And now that phase or phrase returns because we're watching them do just that. Okay. And that's all I'm saying. Cross their heart with an X and hope the rest of us die dumb, obedient, and unaware. That is what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry that I have to be the bearer of the information of that, but hopefully it gets a point to where we grow, our community grow, because it all ties into that one thing a lot of people don't want to go is the reptilian agenda. What I'm going to do now is go through blazing a bunch of photos. Now, these go all the way back when you really can see this stuff. So there's going to be a lot of black and white. You may can see them, but I'll point it out to tell you exactly where to look. You're going to have to look real close, okay? Because where I got these and start pulling them out, it wasn't a lot of clear pictures, but it's enough to make you say, all right? And so I'm going to start with it right now. All right, so this one right here goes all the way back to, this was an arm patch on a military uniform of a Pakistan president, General Pervez. And it tells a number of tales. So against a black In the encircled background, we find a familiar crescent moon, the star of Islam, actually a pagan origin being represented of Diana, the witchcraft star, and the moon goddess, as well as two crossed swords, all right, in the pagan era in the sign of Mars, god of war. And all I'm saying is they knew the meaning of these symbols. Here's one here. If you look at the very top of her head, the X, this is the mighty queen. And of course, she has a huge fortune, but X is right there in the center and is on all their medallion. Why? Because they tie back to, as you already know, the serpent. Here's an old photo here, which is, this is pretty old, but this is Barak, and he's a Freemason who was the prime minister of Israel. This is back in about 1989 with his wife, Nova. Now, this is very staged, as you will know. As you can see, the X is staged. And if you think that is not, I'm going to show you another photo in a minute. You're going to be like, oh, really? All right. So here's another photo real quickly. This is Fortune magazine. This was back in 2000. And this had a rather unusual photograph of two CompUSA e-commerce subsidiary managers. And as you can see, they both sitting there with the X with their hands crossed. And we might see this, but start looking at it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And these pictures are staged. Like I said, once you see it, you can't unsee it. I got a few more for you real quickly. This is one that goes all the way back. This is James Irvin, vice chairman of Bank of America, heads up the giant financial institutions here in Dallas, in X crossing just legs, just a good old boy gesture, but a luminous fraternal sign, a luminous Illuminati sign, but they make sure they see this. Once you start seeing this, you're going to see it everywhere. You're going to see it everywhere. In the shocking video that we're going to talk about next week, it made its way all the way into our community, and everybody accepted it, who all sit there and walked around and said, forever. I hope y'all got it. You can't wait to see that video next week, because I go in deep and who's behind it. So I hope you got what I just said. The other part, this is another one. Alan Ginspan, this guy had a whole story behind him with the X. Now, this is going to tie it in. In this photo, this was pretty old, but here's the deal. He was praised as a genius back in the day. They praised him for a hymn, an alienation during the early years, which is a poem called Howl, Howl. Now, the thing about this dude, he was warped. He was a child molester advocate. He boosted what they call MBLLA, the North America Man-Boy Love Association. He was a reprobate of pedophiles, but a hero of the satanics and all those people. And in return, he was the center of the LUMINIS instruction papers, which was reportedly including 300,000 utility bills, newspaper clipping, paper napkins, and all these things. And these people bought that stuff to keep. And I can't tell you who was all in that stuff, man. It is just as much. This one's going to shock you a little bit. This just take you back. This is Nelson Mandela. Now, we all kind of know who he is in our community, but hey, the Illuminati is all over the world. They're everywhere, and he made no mistake about it, wearing the X tie, showing the affiliation and who they are really connected to spiritually. It was right in plain sight. You got to know this. Here's another one of a lady. Her name is Gloria Stammer. She's pretty old, but look at her right here, hand signs X. And of course, she was the former Playboy Bunny. So we're talking about the S slaves and all of that through Illuminati, mind control, MK Ultra, all of that. You can tie all of that stuff in. I'm just go research for yourself. Here's another photo of this woman here. And again, this is actress Marlene Dietrich. Go look her up. In fact, she was a predecessor of the CIA program and was a lesbian who privately snickered because Hollywood made her as a sex symbol for males, and she knew she didn't like none. Now, if you thought that I was saying something, and remember I said earlier that this particular picture was staged. This one was staged showing Illuminati. Now I want to take you all the way back to way back in 2000. You know who that is? You should know who that is. That's Puff Daddy and rock and roll Tommy Lee embracing hip hop, right? And the X symbol. See, this started a long time ago, people, with old P. Diddy. And his left hand also is evident too. You can't really see it, but right there, he has the symbols right there on his tattoo, the guy. But he's telling the world we own him now. This is when Puff first started. This is the first photo or some of the first photos that was put out that says he is ours now. This particular photo goes back to Stephen King, who we all know his novels, but the caption published in Newsweek, and it's good to be a king. That was the whole title of the magazine. It's good to be a king. That's how they did it. Now, let me take you back to ancient days now. So for you scholars and people say, well, Roderick, where does this go connected? Let me take you back to Egyptians' times and everywhere else. We can go right here. Without shadow of a doubt, we have ancient Egyptian figures. Osiris, he's doing the sacred X. Go look up Osiris. This is where they got it from. This is who they're worshiping or knew who he worshiped. And they're taking it all the way back. They're taking it all the way back. You can go all the way here to the Ramses, the Great. This is the first one, 1279 BC. This was a sarcophagus that was found, and here you go. And he was the ruler who enslaved the Israelites and forced them to build cities because he felt, hey, I'm the God. But look, he is holding not only the Ankh, but he has the X. And you think Wakanda, we're going to do a whole show on that one. You can go all the way here, a painting from the tomb of Ramses. Once again, X. They want to make sure that you knew where those were. And I'm going to continue. I got a few more to show y'all, but are y'all with me where I'm going? Let me look at my chat because I haven't looked over here. Yeah. So anyway, we will go and we will continue to go. Here's another one here. Let me say this. All right. So this is the figure, and I want you to and pay attention to where we're going with this one. I just want you to know. The picture on the right side that you're going to see is the Luciferian angel. Okay? The Luciferian angel. I just want you to know on the right. Take a closer look. The wings are in the X fashion. And this is said to be a secret, a coded alphabet used by a clandestine Templar order from secret societies come out of the book of Ercon Darrow. But it's right there. Egyptian times, or however they want to do it, they take us all the way back. And I'm saying to you, here's another one. Ancient Egyptian figures demonstrate how prevalent Osiris sacred X was. And you think Elon Musk just came out with the most greatest idea that not only he said, I'm going to call the company SpaceX, which we're going to control the stars, and we're going to put these satellite, we're going to put fake ass stars up there because everybody's sitting here saying, oh, we're in the firmament, we're in a dome. Well, we're in a dome, we better keep the fake stars up there. Let me put all these satellites everywhere. Everybody see them. We get, as a UFO investigator, calls come in all the time. I'm just saying, that's just me now. I'm not, don't know truth in none of that, except for they putting them up there. But he has a company called SpaceX. And then he got a new AI called XAI. And then he called Twitter X. And it just keeps going. And his friend who let him run the whole place that we all know right now, and Apollo is the sun god, right? Sun worshiping. Go look up our current administration's penthouse. And there's a video somewhere on the internet that they did a tour of that penthouse. And everything in there was Apollo sun god stuff. Everywhere. Everywhere. You can't make this stuff up. And I'm not saying that it's not some hidden knowledge there. Maybe it is some things we just don't know. But obviously, we just should know. you know, at this point, you should know. All right, so right here, this real Egyptian mummies with their head cross. You got Aztec figures, so this goes into a whole nother lineage. You know, this is displayed on in Mexico, arms is crossed. The bronze figurine of a demon, god Pazuzu, a demon with his X, a demon with an X. Okay, if that doesn't help you enough, this one's get pretty interesting if you can see it. But this is the Rosicrucian, mystical orders that emphasize the process of alchemy, mystical union that brings in about cleansing and renewing. The whole Illuminati alchemy is to realize that the new world order through destruction, cleansing, that is right there in front. And this is pretty interesting. This is in the United States. This is church. You can kind of see it, but right in the beginning of going through that doorway is this picture. The X right above the cross, in front of the cross, right there when you walk into the church. And I've said it 100 times, and I'll keep saying it. You know, there is a rumor that we're going to talk about that in Uncensored when we get off of this in a few minutes. So I'll say that. I can't say that out on the air. But for those who've got access, and if you want access, there's a link in the description. Go to our Patreon, hook up. There's going to be, when you get in there, you're going to see a link to the live that's right after this. That's offline. That it's somewhere else. I host it, and we can talk all we want. And I'm going to get down and dirty as an extending of this one. Another part is this one, the Pope. Now, at the top of that mitra, the fish head symbol, but at the very top, you see X's all over that. All over, even in his hand, he's holding it. Okay, even on the collar, there is the X again, and with the illumination of all of it. This stuff is right in plain sight, and they're not hiding anything. And you want to go back to the greatness of this woman. This is Lisa Marie Presley. You think she's just said, I'm Elvis' daughter, and I'm just going to sit here and sit like this looking crazy with an X in my hand? This is staged. They're sending the messages that they want us to know, that they're ruling. They're doing what they do in plain sight. And you can go all the way back to the skulls and bones at Yale. There you go. X right there. Every last one of you. You think they're just sitting there looking polite? You can go all the way back to the Federal Reserve, which is the original pirates. You can take them all the way back to the Pirates of the Caribbean, and you kind of see right there, Skull and Bones. That's who owns the Federal Reserve. They were the original pirates. And you got the seal of University of Scotland, X, Evangelical Theologian Seminary, a seminary with the X in front of right behind that Bible. Yeah. Yeah, y'all can pronounce. That's that grammar box. There you go. I almost butchered that. And the last one that I want to show you that I thought was really interesting. This came out of the Circle of New York News. It was called the Sacred Sun that I'm going to show. I'm going to put this image on the screen. Now, this one is pretty interesting because it has a lot of elements as the symbolizer, as I will show you. But at the very top of that, he's got the X symbol, but it's also got the double eagle, which is, you will find that in our White House. And it's got the serpent dragon at the bottom, which is what? Satan, right? This thing has a little bit of every symbols you can think of. The sun in the middle, letting you know they worship in the sun. Once again, the dragon, which is still serpents. You got your eagles and mankind to control. You got Osiris. You got all of those symbols on the left and right. And then you have that at the top up there, which is a little, maybe the goat guy could be a little part of Baphomet, maybe. And then you got your 6-pointed stars. They waste no time showing us in plain sight. And those are the things that I just want you to know. Now, I begin to believe that we still need to look deeper into everything. And I say this about controlling our energies and protecting our energies. You know, this is one of the little books that we have that we did some partnerations with. But anyway, let me turn to this. But this is the book of sacred secrets. It's on the website, whythebigsecret.com. But it's one thing about it is the electromagnetic system is the nature that you want to do. And you want to block where I'm looking for right here. The human energy shield. You got to protect your human energy shield. It's all about loose. That's what they're after. So if you want to go get a download copy, support the channel, there's a link in the description, whythebigsecret.com/merchant, and you will be on game immediately when it goes to that. But I want you to understand that the reptilian agenda is real. And as I do more research, because I don't think a lot of people are going to know more about the reptilian stuff than I do. You know, I'm just all in this shit, okay? And I'm very confident as we continue to go deeper that we're getting closer to the truth. We don't know what it is. Nobody knows the entire truth, so don't believe that. But as we get closer to the truth, as truth seekers, as reptilian truth seekers here that I do on my channel, this is your destination for it, everything. And everything ties into it. So some days we will talk about the shapeshifters, but we do put all the stuff together. We don't leave you out there hanging without having a conversation. But my goal is to give you enough information you can see, you can hear, maybe you can read, find, to awaken your curiosity to the possibility that there are some non-human things that are running the world that we see today, that we think and believe everything is as it is. Just to awaken your curiosity. That's all I want to do. That's all my job is to do. And then you take it the other way. Now, real quickly, if you have in any form or fashion, and as y'all know, we have a reptilian hotline. We're not just playing with this stuff. There's a number right there on the screen. If you have seen a shapeshifter or you feel that you know some stuff or whatever, and you want to share with the community, call that number. You will talk to me personally. If I don't answer, you leave a message. It's recorded. I'll call you back. The last video we just did, if y'all saw, we played a recording of a woman that left her hotline call last week, and she told her reptilian story and how she went on a date and what she found out during that date. If you haven't heard it, go check it out. You got to check it out. It's actually in the last video, but I'm actually making a separate video just for that. It'll probably be up in a few days, so you'll start hearing those calls. You just check back with me, so you don't have to go through the live stream to hear it, but when you do. But regardless, they're right here. They're everywhere. There's good ones. There's bad ones. There's some that shapeshift, some that can't shapeshift because they not all the way, don't have the bloodline and they got to do the other sacrifices. But the higher the genetic bloodline is the ones that are capable to shapeshift. And like I said, there is an alpha walking right in plain sight who is the alpha reptilian. Okay. And I dare not say this on the air at all, period. However, it exists. It's right in front of our sight, and it's the alpha. Now, that don't mean it's the leader of the unknown world, but it's the alpha here on Earth, period. I can tell you that. So, yeah, and accepted alpha to be exactly. But anyway, if you have seen anything, call that number 888-345-9121. You will come right to me. And if I don't answer it, please leave a message, leave a number. You can text to it. You can send. It's supposed to get photos, but it's starting out. But you can text, and I'll answer back and forth. We're real. We're into this, people. We're into it. And maybe one day we're gonna meet somebody who's gonna be on the show, and they're gonna shift their eyes for us because they ain't trying to hide. Because they're not trying to hide. They're working to make stuff familiar for us to accept. So they're working on it. Period. But we don't have to. We don't have to do that. But once again, it's the energy, it's the negativity, it's the vibration, it's the anxiety, it's all the stuff that we see that they are feeding off the loosh of the energy. So you stay connected here. We're going to have all kinds of techniques and people and things to tell you how to fend yourself from the control of this stuff, or I call the obedience code. And once again, the word on the street, and that is our coded word for conspiracy, just so you know. But the word on the street, because if you come from where I grew up, the word on the street was just as real as it can get. if you heard the word on the street, then it came correct. All right, so with that being said, we're going to get ready to get out of here. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. If you have not, if you're listening to us on Instagram, come to the YouTube channel, subscribe if you can, so that you don't miss when I go live or upload or anything else. You can support the channel in many ways to do that, but at least place your comments and all those things here. Like the channel, but definitely, and if you want to come on the show and share your experience, we're going to be talking about Rh negative blood, or we're collecting that now. So call the hotline and all that. If you are Rh negative or from that lineage, because we got a show that we're putting together for everyone, because that is a very important bloodline. Without saying, it's very important bloodline. And once again, I'm Roderick Martin, AKA the Symbolizer, and it's been a plum pleasing pleasure. And as I will end to say, I love you. I love each and every one of you. If someone has not told you that they love you today, I love you. And why not? Because love is the most powerful thing that we can protect ourselves with, and make sure that that you can get that love or hear it, feel it, and understand it. All right, because it is very serious things. All right, y'all. Peace out. I'll see y'all in the private area in about 11 minutes, not 9 minutes. I'm saying at 8 o'clock. So make sure you go into the Patreon, hit that link, and then you can come into the show uncensored. And I'm going to go back over some of this stuff, and and no kids, because we use profanity. We talk some great stuff there because it's uncensored. I love each and every one of you. Stay strong. Make sure, again, served and share the video. And you can find a link in the description if you want to come in there tonight.
Welcome, Truth Seeker. You are no longer asleep. I am Luminous, the Owl of Truth. The world is blind, but you have opened your eyes. Welcome to the fire of esoteric knowledge and truth. You are now one of the awakened. You are now luminous. Welcome to the rebellion. Welcome to truth versus authority.